Welcome back. Mheshimiwa Mudhomi Njuki, Member of Parliament Chuka Igamba Ngombe, and aspiring Governor Tharaka Nithi, and Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi, and going back for the same seat. My panelists this morning, as we look at the stories making headlines, one of the main ones is that the election 2017 is pitted as going to be the most expensive one in Kenya's history. A number of reasons. Top of them, the issue of propaganda. Before we took the break, I just swept it away from you, and so it would just be fair that I let you execute what it is you're saying about NASA propaganda and sharing power.
Yes, you see, sharing power is you're giving the expectations to the population way before the election. You're telling them, listen, the person you support. You see, the thing is, when we are looking for a flag bearer, all the principals were able and willing to be flag bearers, and that put their foot forward and campaigned around the country to be flag bearers. So they have supporters, significant supporters all over the country. So when we decided on who our flag bearer is, you have to give the supporters of everybody else and say, listen, this is going to be our government. I alone at the top, as the president and the deputy president, are not going to take everything and share between two of us, like what the current government has done. Everybody will have a stake in this government, and that's how you say people inclusivity. We're going to be an inclusive government. So it's not power sharing because you're giving somebody a job. It's you're saying, listen, all your supporters have a stake in this government, and that's how we came up with 10 million strong.
So those are the final details of this arrangement.
Yes,
the same way the final details
10 million
for the accusations by NASA that the country's international debt has gone up to 4 trillion. What you are giving us about the government working hard to paying this are the finer details. What's on the face is the same thing. But now, another piece of propaganda as we continue executing this. You said it's propaganda, and I use your word.
Yes. Front
page of the Daily Nation. The National Super Alliance yesterday allayed fears among Kenyans that its running mate Kalonzo Musyoka will contest the presidency on a Wiper ticket. Presidential candidate Raila Odinga and Wiper Secretary General Omar Hassan described the fears as unfounded, saying Musyoka was committed the cause of the coalition. Why did you say that's propaganda? And Kalonzo Musyoka's papers with the IEBC?
Yes, they are, but how coalitions work is everybody goes and nominates their person to be the presidential flag bearer for that political party. Mheshimiwa Musalia did it, Mheshimiwa Wetangula did it, had a delegates conference. Wiper had a delegates conference where all the principals attended sometime in earlier this year, and all of us said that Kalonzo Musyoka is our presidential candidate, and we even gave him a nomination certificate. Now these parties came and they formed a coalition, and in the coalition they came up with agreements and said, okay, fine, ODM's presidential candidate, who is Raila Odinga, is going to be the flag bearer for the coalition, and Wiper's presidential candidate is going to be the deputy flag bearer. So there's a difference with us having a presidential candidate and going to the polls. But Charles, just as we finish this story about financing, Nairobi has 5 million people, and I wanted my friends to understand this. Okay, if you take a very small percentage of that, just take 100,000 people in Nairobi, and you tell everybody, give me 1,000 shillings a month for 6 months. There's your 600 million. So you can raise 600 million very easily. You don't have to go and steal from someone. You don't have to go and promise tenders.
Jonathan, the question is, why would you need 600 million for a job you will be earning 100 million? That's my question.
Well, it's not commensurate with the marketing you need to do to win an election. Now, I don't believe you need 600 million to win the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. I think you probably can do with even a third of it. 200 should be enough to market yourself, just because there's 5 million people. But those are the inequalities. My rent here is almost 200,000 shillings a month. The rent of the deputy governor is Lamu is 15,000 shillings a month. He lives in a bigger house than mine. Why are we paid the same salary?
I hope
we'll finish on this, then we move on.
I hope his electorates in Mathare and Mukuru Kwajenga slums are listening, that he lives in a 200,000 rented a house.
Just like your voters in Tharaka Nithi are listening, how much allowance are you given for rent as an MP?
I am not given allowance for rent. I was given money to buy a house.
I was
not actually given money. I had to be given a mortgage which I've paid back. I didn't even have any salary.
How much is the house?
Actually be able to
How much is the house?
We were given 20 million as a loan to be able to buy a house.
You live in a house worth 20 million.
That's a very cheap house in Nairobi. Now, and now I lives in
20 million is 200,000 she lives in rent.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what will your person
and these are the guys you expect, and you're telling us here they live in less than $1 a day, and you're telling us that every month they give you 1,000 shillings for you to be able to finance your campaign. I want to tell you, the masses that vote in Nairobi are people who live below $1 a day. So you should be telling us how you can be able to make those people be able to move to at least be able to have $2 a day to be able to live on.
At least he tell us he pays a rent for 200,000. He says that is the allowance he gets.
That is the allowance he gets. Maybe he even lives in a more expensive house
or a cheaper one for that.
Let's move away from Weke, my friend. Let's not focus on him.
Let's focus on you.
Let us focus on what he said. Let's focus on issues. Otherwise we become propagandists. For one, when you tell us that you do not share positions, and I want to say this is the highest level of corruption, which is it's a head start before you even start elections, is that one, you are to corrupt the people who are supporters and followers of the principles that you're bringing about. For the people of the Med to actually feel that I have a stake in this government, you have to create a position for Isaac Ruto, so that the people can feel, yes, here our man, there's something for our man. In the meantime, there is no way Isaac Ruto will agree to move away from Chama za Mashinani party and come to your coalition, and he does not have a big job there for him to be able to at least know that when the government is in place, I will have a position with influence, which I can be able to amass a bit of wealth and be able to have a bit of influence where I can run for maybe presidency in 2022, whatever case may be. That is a very high level head start corruption that involves our voters. And unfortunately in the process they're normally conned, because that is usually not the reality. The interest is not with the voters. The interest is usually with the principals themselves. Same case with Mudavadi, same case with the Wetangula, because the Luya community have to feel, yes, there's something in it for us. But in the meantime, it is for Mudavadi, it is for Wetangula, not for those people. So don't tell us that that is propaganda. Secondly,
we need to finish this.
The issue of Kalonzo Musyoka saying that it is propaganda. Just go online, the IBC registration, and see he is listed there as a presidential candidate.
For which party?
For Wiper Party. For Wiper Party. How then can you be able to tell us that is propaganda? Yet that is the reality. Why didn't you go and withdraw his candidature? So that people don't have to talk about it, and we don't have to say what is the reality. So there is almost no propaganda by the Jubilee Party towards NASA. Because we sell our policies, we sell our manifesto, not propaganda.
We need to bring an end to this, but for record purposes, we have confirmed not once, not twice, and even from the party leadership, Chama cha Mashinani was offered a position in the NASA summit, not Isaac Ruto.
My friend, whether I control it by remote control, whether I have it in my position, it is mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
a last comment on this issue.
Yes, just a last comment. I think my friend the MP here for Chuka Igabangombe is selling propaganda on national TV. And that's my last comment, because honestly, he's an intelligent guy. He's my friend. I'm sure he knows that Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be a NASA running mate to Raila Odinga. I'm sure you know that. So for you to come here and say that Kalonzo is running for president, you're even spreading propaganda.
How do I know? We follow what is written, and that is what is tangible. You know, whatever you say.
Has NASA presented any papers to the Registrar of Political Parties as far as the coalition is concerned?
The nomination, NASA is not a political party.
It's a coalition.
Yes. You're going to know who are going to be your candidates in every elective position, on between the 28th of May and the 2nd of June, when all the various candidates hand in their nomination papers to IEBC. For example, if you go and look at that list, under ODM you'll find Governor Evans Kidero. Under running mate you'll find it blank. Does that mean that I'm not Dr. Evans Kidero's running mate? No. It's because we're a coalition government. And since I'm not in ODM, ODM did not forward my name to the political parties.
Because they don't have the mandate.
Because they don't have the mandate to forward my name.
There you are.
Yeah? But since we're a coalition with Dr. Evans Kidero, we will submit our nomination papers together and I will be running them.
There you are.
Fred, you need to defend the press.
Charles,
sorry. You need to defend the press, because what is written there is not written by Jubilee. It's written by the press. And they have information. Unless you're saying we don't believe these newspapers and the media that we're in.
that was actually my question. The newsmakers here remaking the news to suit them. As we go on, we look at page 10 of the Daily Nation. Election agencies' headache on the August voting papers. Now, the Electoral Commission is facing a daunting task of designing ballot papers that can accommodate the high number of candidates for various seats. This is emerging even as the IEBC plans to meet all the 15,082 candidates tomorrow to discuss nomination requirements and qualifications. Do you see this number as a challenge to IEBC?
Definitely, it's a very big challenge, and of course we already discussed the reason for it. And more so, it is going to reduce the effectiveness of the process itself, you know, when it comes to voting. You can imagine a ballot paper that maybe you need to turn the page, you know, because unless some of those papers you turn the page, the photographs will be very small, the print will be very small, and they may be very long if you don't want to turn the page. And any paper that is longer than A4 can become a very big challenge to the voter. You can imagine have a very big strip where one woman comes and says, I want so and so, and then you have to go through all of it and turn. That is where the first influence is going to come in, and people will be, I don't want to say corrupted, but they'll be disadvantaged. Vis-a-vis if we had an election that are just 2 or 3 candidates.
What would you propose? Now that you people are having a meeting with IEBC, what would be your proposal in handling this?
They will not. I will advise that they should not compromise the effectiveness of the communication by the ballot paper by cutting costs. You know, because they can decide to cut costs, like I was telling you, and make very small photographs and very small ballot papers, so that it can be. But they could be big enough, but you know the prints may be small because of the large number. So they have to sacrifice, spend more money, and make sure that we are not disadvantaged at the ballot box, whereby every candidate has to be clear in their photograph, in the print, and also in the rating, so that we can actually be able to have easier decision making by the electorates without having to be assisted. Because assisted voting in this country is usually the initial position, or rather the initial start of having influence elections. And we even have people who are literate, but because they have struck a deal out there, they say I need to be assisted, so that your agent can report that yes, he voted for you, give them money, which is a very...
Jonathan, 15,082 candidates. Is this a daunting task for IEBC?
It is, but if I was IEBC, I'd solve this problem with technology. Yeah, instead of going to have ballot papers and all of that, why don't you just have a big screen with all the people on that screen? You can scroll and pick whoever you want. You pick Evans Kidero, it comes up with a big picture and says you have picked Evans Kidero. Are you sure this is the person you want to vote for? You click yes, and that vote is sent directly to some system.
For August 8th or for the future?
For the future, but now for August 8th, it's too late. They should have thought about that a long time ago.
Fair enough, and this is the point where I want to request my director to play for us some 2 clips. We are talking about the issue of independent candidates vis-a-vis the position of both Jubilee and NASA as far as supporting them is concerned. My director, Robert, if you can hear me, could you have the clip on Jubilee?
Eastern County of Mandera was Sunday painted red as Deputy President William Ruto led the Jubilee Brigade in wooing the frontier region into the Jubilee vote basket. And here, just a day after a host of independent candidates who lost in the Jubilee nominations declared war on the ruling party's candidates, the Deputy President set a different tone, declaring that the party has no quarrels with the independents as long as they support President Kenyatta's re-election.
Watu wa independent na wale wengine wote tunawaheshimu, tunawaenzi kwa kutuunga mkono. Kura ni direct kwa rais wetu na wale wa support ya bila condition yoyote. Nyinyi mlishindwa na watu wa Jubilee na nyinyi mliamua muende independent, but hamuwezi kutupatia masharti.
In their meeting Saturday, the independent candidates accused Jubilee of rigging them out in the primaries, and even though they said they would support President Uhuru Kenyatta, they asked their opponents to expect defeat at the ballot. The independents going ahead to declare a union that will support each other during the campaigns. Jubilee, however, appears keen on taking advantage of the independents to drum up support for President Kenyatta, while at the same time shoring up the number of voters who are likely to cast the ballot in his favor. The leaders hit out at the opposition for what they termed undue pressure on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
So you cannot intimidate IEBC. You cannot blackmail IEBC. You cannot extort IEBC. IEBC is independent and they don't vote. It's the people of Kenya who will vote. Not about blackmail, not about threats, not about intimidation. It is about the delivery of an agenda that will change the lives of millions of Kenyans.
The Deputy President promising that the government will review the dusk-to-dawn curfew imposed on Mandera following repeated Al-Shabaab attacks as the Muslim population braces itself for the holy month of Ramadan that begins next week. Hassan Mugambi, Citizen TV.
First part of Hassan Mugambi's story there, the position taken by Jubilee as far as independent candidates are concerned. And now let's hear what NASA has to say about the position of independent candidates.
NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga was at St. Stephen ACK Church in Kisumu. Odinga using the occasion to ask NASA supporters to reject all independent candidates.
Elections is competition. So you can see we are competing against Jubilee and several other political parties. So those who are running as independents also are candidates against us. So I'm saying that we are supporting candidates who have the ODM flag.
The NASA leader saying the coalition is keen on having majority seats in both houses of parliament.
Where we don't have candidates, we support the candidates of our sister parties in NASA. That is the position as it is. So we are not rooting for anybody else. You see, independents are independent, and they are independent and free to campaign for themselves. So we have never said anywhere that we are backing independent candidates.
Odinga, in effect, asking voters to reject his close allies who lost in the primaries. Some, his bosom friends, who feel the primaries were rigged in favor of their opponents. They include Kisumu Governor Jack Ranguma, who is running as an independent candidate against Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o. In Siaya County, there are 3 independent candidates, with lawmaker Nicholas Gumbo, a close ally of Odinga, among those who will square it out with incumbent Conrel Rasanga of ODM. Ochilo Ayako has also gone the independent route to challenge Okoth Obado. It's a similar case in Busia County, where Paulo Tuoma is running against Governor Sospita Ojamong as an independent candidate.
And independent does not mean that I'm far from ODM. I am in ODM, but I have been moved aside to continue to complete my work.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has echoed Odinga's call, saying independent candidates have no place in NASA politics.
Those who have won democratically on Wiper ticket have every reason to feel their party leader stands with them. You're either with us or you're not with us. This is a clear message.
In Kitui, Senator David Musila is campaigning as an independent candidate in his bid to unseat Governor Julius Malombe of Wiper. Political analysts, however, warn that sidelining independent candidates in their strongholds could undermine Odinga's presidential bid.
If NASA goes the way they are going, then they are going to be interfering with the 100%, near 100% turnout in their strongholds. Remember, NASA is talking about 10 million strong, and Jubilee is talking about 70% plus one.
Independent candidates are also being viewed as crucial in whipping their supporters to go out and vote on August 8th.
Some of the independent candidates have got over 50,000 votes. So when you don't address that constituency, when you don't address the nations and the backyard of which some of the influential independent candidates are holding, then you're going to be having a risk of voter apathy.
With 3,752 individuals seeking various positions without party affiliations, independent candidates have become a force to reckon with.
There you are. You're either with us or you're against us. That is more or less the same statement coming from across the political divide. Now, what is the effect on this on voter turnout? I start with you, Mheshimiwa Mudomi Njuki.
First and foremost, I want to correct the position that has been being created by the independent candidates. I have just heard Jack Raguma say that he's an ODM, but he has stepped aside. I don't understand what that means, because the law is very clear. You cannot be an independent candidate at the same time belong to a party. So like most of the independent candidates, they are lying to the voters. It is important to embrace the position of independent candidate and subscribe to what it entails to be an independent candidate. There's one who called me the other day, an MCA, who was asking whether he can put his photo, my photo on his poster, and I told him to go back and look at what is prescribed by the law on what independent means.
That is an illegality.
He can be able to make a decision as per se. I do not want to sound like I in any way contradict the position of my party leaders, but I want to say this. The position that Jubilee found itself in the House and in the leadership during the last election, where they had to go back and do a post-election coalition called Jubilee after having TNN and Europe in those other parties, which at this particular moment in time I am not very sure whether the law really supports that. They need to think very, very carefully, because to me it's the independents who need the presidential candidate and not the other way around. Because if you're in a Jubilee zone and already the candidates for the Jubilee have been picked, and we do not have a position whereby we say that the independent candidates must support independent candidate for the position of the president up there, then they have no choice but to support the candidate of the day. But how they do it is what really leaves a lot to be desired, because you do not have to start twisting people, compelling the candidate for the Jubilee presidential race to be seen to support you, come to your rallies and be able to endorse you, because we must have very clear position, because the law is very clear. If I am in Jubilee, I cannot go out there in a podium and campaign for ODM. The law does not allow that, because it's an election offense. So therefore, why do they expect the president to actually be able to campaign for them or give them an endorsement? On the other hand, I want to remind you what happened in the year 2007 when we had a stalemate. The ODM that time had more members of parliament, despite the fact that Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki was convincing the country that he won the election, which of course is possible. And there was one very pertinent question that Kofi Annan asked Mwai Kibaki that time. What are your numbers in the National Assembly? And he says, these are my numbers. So what are your numbers, Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga? These are my numbers. And then he asked Mheshimiwa Kibaki, what does the law say about impeachment? He says it's just a simple majority. So you either have to agree with this gentleman or become a short stint president, whereby you'll go to that house, you're going to be impeached. That thing can very easily be repeated if Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto do not think the strategy on the independent candidates.
So the issue is,
at the moment they are looking very friendly, but the moment you land in that house
things change.
And then you start saying that the position of the chairman of the committee of finance of energy is a reserve for the Jubilee. These guys start gathering up and say, wait a minute, we have independence here. We also want a seat.
And we have the numbers.
And we have the numbers as
fair enough.
So what happens at that time? You start having a divided house. And if you don't have a majority in that parliament, William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta will not be able to control that house.
So it's about control of the houses. Jonathan, position taken by these two.
I think my friend first of all has contradicted himself. At first he said that the independent candidates need the president and not the other way around. And now he says that the president will need the independent candidates, so it is not.
There's no contradiction there.
Yeah, so it is not impeached.
I say to be elected for now,
ahead of 8th August, the independent candidates need the presidential candidates.
Yes, correct.
But from 9th, the independent, the president will need or may need the independent candidates. That's your position.
Yes, correct.
An independent is just that, an independent. Yeah, and why I'm differing with Mheshimiwa Njuki here is, once you have an independent candidate, they come with their own votes. And this surge of independence has been created because of shambolic nomination in some areas. In some areas, it's just somebody who doesn't want to admit that they lost. Yeah, so it's neither here nor there. But that person, especially the person who won in the nomination, and the ticket was snatched from them, they go independent. What independent means is now you don't have to depend on anybody. You don't have to follow anybody's rules or regulations or manifesto as a political party. You think independently. And that is why you see Mheshimiwa Ruto, because he is running for the presidency, telling the independents, we love you. Because he knows, I did some things. I know there are some strong guys that I got out of the office because of my 2022 succession. These guys have votes. And since they are independent, they can choose either to vote for Raila Odinga or Uhuru Kenyatta, and I can't tell them anything because now I have no control of them. And that's why I differ. The presidential candidates need the independents more than the independents need the presidential candidates.
And I want us to look at an ideal situation, a realistic situation. What are the chances of somebody in Murang'a, for example, an independent candidate, going out and telling people, vote for me for the MP's position, but vote for Raila Odinga for the presidency? Or somebody in Homa Bay telling people, vote for me for the governor's position, but vote for Uhuru Kenyatta for the presidential position. What are the chances in an ideal situation?
The chances are there. What are the chances that ODM have 2 members of parliament in Meru?
That is totally different.
What are the chances that in the heart of Siaya, Mheshimiwa
I want you to look at this on the flip side. I mentioned Murang'a because of perception, and I mentioned Homa Bay because of perception. You realize that people who got votes as ODM MPs in Meru, how much votes did they bring for the presidential?
Correct.
I don't know.
I will tell you. The ODM candidates were elected on their own mandate as, individuals. We will elect you as Mpuru Waburi. Whether you come with no party, you come with ODM, it doesn't matter.
How many votes did you get in Puri's constituency? Is what chance?
Negligible. That's what I want to tell you.
How many votes?
All the votes went to Uhuru Kenyatta. All the votes went to Uhuru Kenyatta. Yet the candidate was elected on their own mandate, not because of the party. So that is totally very different.
So it's clear. If I am a candidate, an independent candidate, in a zone that is perceived to be supportive of Mweke, I must ask for my vote and urge people to vote for Mweke.
Correct.
That way it's going to be easy.
Correct.
But I can't ask for my vote and urge people to vote for Mweke's opponent.
Correct. That is why in that case, it's you who need Mweke, not Mweke who needs you.
I think, gentlemen, we are going to see some surprises. Because some of the pain that has been caused to these independent candidates, some of the pain, and you can see them blaming, especially in Central Province, you can see who they are blaming for their wars. Because it can't be a coincidence that in Central Province, all the big shots who could have decided how 2022 is going to go did not get their tickets. It can't be a coincidence. Hold on 1 second. It just can't be a coincidence. So there's so much pain that you'll find some rebellion. And why I keep saying Meru is because Meru has been turned into a battleground. That's why you see even Mheshimiwa Kenyatta is about to go there. He's told by intelligence, apana. And then the media go to the marketplaces and the popular places and they say, hapana, sisi ni watu wa Raila Odinga. Sisi ni watu wa NASA. The other day I was with Governor Kidero last Tuesday at the furniture place when we had gone to look at the business people and see how some of the things we've done for them are working for them on Gong Road, and tell them about the road that's coming to be dual and all that kind of stuff. And the place is dominated by people from the Meru community. And they told us, musijali, musijali, sisi ni watu wa NASA.
Listen to this gentleman, page 7 of the Standard.
You'll be surprised.
You can't let him get away with it. Before you go to that.
I'm just beefing this up. It's the same story. The opposition alliance is keen to ensure that candidates from affiliate parties are elected in order to secure parliamentary majority in parliament. Now, if you go to page 18 of the Standard, it says, some Nyanza leaders, most of them independents, are now accusing Raila Odinga of supporting cartels who perpetrated irregularities in the ODM nominations. This is how it's all spinning. Your take?
Well, let's be sober in this debate. Sober in that
I didn't have anything to drink.
I don't have to use this platform to propagate propaganda.
I didn't have anything to drink.
When you talk about the issue of 2022 and the central votes, you're trying to tell the people of the central province that they were manipulated by somebody out there, that they did not actually vote, which is actually wrong in this particular case, because those people voted for the candidates of the day. And by the way, I want to tell you that in central and eastern, most of the times, it is usually at 90% of the sittings usually go home because of the high expectations and because of very high level of democracy and non-interference.
How many times
I want to remind you that the president could not even save his own niece in Kiambu, who was a woman rep. It was not possible. She had to go home. So it has nothing to do with interference, because if that was the case, then we'll be seeing a lot of surprises. And secondly,
how many times has Kabando been elected in Mukurweni? Why are you saying it's one time? How many times has Kabogo been elected?
Kabando last time, and I don't want to speak about personalities. He won by 200 votes. In this case, yes, he did win. That was the second time.
How many times?
So in this particular case, if he won by 200 votes, and this time it has happened, I didn't hear Kabando say that I was rigged out. He said I lost.
He accepted.
He accepted, and then he became independent. Let's not go into personalities.
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you.
A real example.
I want to tell you. You cannot be an expert in Meru when you sit in the wiper zone. The Meru people, they're very good in receiving information, and in what we call I don't call it marketing as per se. It is PR. But whenever you come, we will sing for you, we will listen to you, we will clap for you, we will not throw stones at you. But wait at the ballot box. You'll be very surprised.
Mheshimiwa, is that a fact or fiction?
It is a fact.
What happened in 2013 when Raila Odinga went to the chopper and he could not land?
Where was
Wasn't that Meru?
Where was this?
Wasn't that Meru?
Let's maybe you talk about one or two isolated cases. Why don't you be a bit recent?
Contradiction.
Let's be a bit recent, because of late Raila Odinga has been in Tarakanidi. Yes, as he has been in Tarakanidi several times. He has been in Meru. Yeah, but let's wait till the ballot box and see what is going to happen in that particular case. But you should not mistake the Meru people for being annoyed or not happy with the Jubilee government, such that we have infiltration by the NASA in this particular case.
You know, I like facts. I saw on TV.
Hold on a minute, let me finish. I want to embrace the fact that we have independent candidates who may have lost unfairly in this country, and mostly in the NASA zone.
Because of the bangles.
We have seen them, where the elections are bungled to the extent that you're told votes were being counted in the bushes, or the certificate was issued in a coffee plantation. Those things are there.
Oh, so there is coffee in
NASA
region.
Of course, it's there. Just give me an example.
Yeah, we're sure you've made me happy.
I like it when you accuse him of bringing propaganda.
So
my friend is in central.
It is possible we'll have a few candidates for the independent who will make their way there. But let's not mix it up with the issue of if I don't have the support of the party leader, I will not vote away. Let me tell you, I have seen Raila Odinga saying that they are either with us or not with us. But I want to tell you, those guys will still vote for Raila Odinga.
Question, because we are running short of time, and this is a final one. What is the effect of these altercations between party leaders, coalition leaders, and the independent candidates? What is the effect? Very quickly, Jonathan.
I think the ones who lost,
for example, should
surely
the voters in Ukambani who support Kalonzo Musyoka hear what he says, you're either with us or against us, what would they take of the independent candidates?
I think the independent candidates are in two forms. There are those who genuinely lost in the nominations.
How do you tell the genuine ones?
Yeah. And there are those who got rigged out.
So what's the effect?
Yeah. I think the ones who got rigged out are now independent, and the presidential candidates should find a way of speaking with them to tell them, you're independent, please give your vote to me and not to somebody else.
So not this grandstanding.
Yeah. Not the grandstanding. Yeah. And there are those who lost. And if you lost fairly and squarely to your opponent, then if you are losing in the nominations, you lose in the general election, and that you can sometimes say are inconsequential.
Those are for the
it's neither here nor there.
Your take on this standoff between party leadership and independent candidates?
I think Mweke just wanted to get a phone call from Kalonzo Musyoka. I expect a phone call after this when we leave the studio, because he has put it very clearly. You cannot have a party member who contradicts the position of the party leader. I saw it on TV this morning. So I expect a phone call from Kalonzo Musyoka.
Okay, fair enough. Your take on this?
And my take on this is that independent is independent, and therefore they should be allowed to do their thing. Let us not break the law. If you are in Jubilee, campaign for the Jubilee candidates. However, we are not saying we're going to be violent or we are going to be having issues with the independent. Let us give them the respect they deserve. Let them hustle their way. If they find themselves in the house or in the positions, then we'll find a way to work out to them. But otherwise, let me take this opportunity before you...
Those are your final comments.
That's my final comment. I want to take this opportunity to really send my condolences and my heartfelt condolences from the people of Tharaka County to those children, to the family of the children, the three who lost their lives in Uasin Gishu because of a very unclear circumstance. Really a very sad situation.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And the police are investigating the issue. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa Mweke, your final comment?
Yeah, as the week goes ahead, we just want to tell the people who are looking for political seats to do so properly, to do so based on issues, to do so with no violence in mind, because the election day is just one day, and after that we'll need a country that is functional, a country that is progressive, a country that's prosperous. So let's get the violence out of it, let's get issues. If you're running for a seat, tell the voters why you want them to vote for you. Don't bother about other things that don't make sense to anybody.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Mheshimiwa Mudomi Njuki. It was a pleasure having you in the panel. Politicians out there, remember, you can never, ever lead dead people. Food for thought. My name is Charles Odhiambo. Let's do this again some other time. The band with some music.